Hello there, pre-algebra students. I'm looking forward to today's lesson. We're going to talk about multi-step inequalities, but before we get started, how about you do a couple problems to warm up from what you've been doing for the past couple of days, but just to make sure you're in good shape. If you would hit pause right here and go ahead and do these problems, and then hit unpause in a couple of seconds once you've done them, and just make sure that as you follow along you've done them correctly. So here I go, going ahead and showing these. Easiest way here, negative 5a, you're taking away 5a from both sides, always remembering to do the same thing to both sides. When you take away this, we're left with the negative 18. 3a minus 5a, negative 2a, dividing by negative 2 to undo the multiplication. So you end up with a equals 9 for this one. And then let's handle this one. You can either move the variable to the right or you can move it to the left. That's completely up to you. I'm going to go ahead and add 3b to both sides. Always remembering to do the same thing to both sides. And so I have 13 left over here. Negative 1b plus 3b gives you 2b. And then after this, you're going to add to both sides. And we have 16 and then divide by 2. And so your answer is 8 in this case. So that's our warm-up from things that you know how to do. And so we're going to move right along and get on with our new lesson about solving inequalities. You all have solved inequalities before. I want to work on this one though. This one's got multi-steps to it, and we're going to check it afterwards. We're going to deal with quite a few little strategies and tricks throughout this lesson, and so please stick with it to the very, very end. All right, first thing you need to remember is just pretend that this is an equal sign. Just watch out for stuff like if you multiply or divide by a negative. So first step here, just like with an equals, we're making it so that always we're treating it like an equals, so whatever you do to one side of the inequality, you have to do to the other side. And bring this down. Make sure you line it up. Make sure that you're not moving things left and right without doing the same thing to both sides. 36 minus 36 has disappeared. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this 15 minus 36. We know that positive, here we could rewrite it like this, 15 minus 36. You know that that's 15 plus negative 36. Your keep, change. From there we have 36 absolute value is bigger than 15, so we have to subtract. And that gives us a negative 21. So here's our negative 21. We're still trying to get x alone, so to undo the multiplication, we divide by 7. So x is greater than negative 3. So this is our solving portion of it. I do want to take a quick look at the graph of it, because graphing is part of inequalities too. So when we graph this, you have your negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, negative 4, negative 5 over here. X greater than negative 3, open circle because there's nothing underneath. And all of the numbers over here are bigger than negative 3. So that checks that. Shows the visual for your solution. So your solution here. But then we have this check. In order to check, you want to pick a value in your shaded in region. Okay, so for example, I'm going to pick -1. You could pick anything over here, and you want to plug it into your original problem. So 7 times -1 plus 36, and we want to make sure that whatever we get is greater than 15. So 7 times -1 is -7 plus 36. 36 minus 7, don't forget to borrow, gives us 929. So 29 is in fact greater than 15. So at least we've checked out that we've got the right thing on the correct side of the inequality. So our graph is worked out. We worked carefully here, so we are in good shape. And let's move on to another one. This one saying solve and graph. So what we need to do is do the same thing that we just did a minute ago. It's slightly repetitive. You might want to try this one, pause and try this one and see if you can get ahead of me a little bit. And on this, we add 52 to both sides. I then have 8x is less than, all right, well, I've got negative plus positive. I need to subtract these numbers. And when you do that, you're borrowing. And then we have 8 and we have 4. But it's a negative. You need to have 8 divided into 48. 8 times 6 is 48. So when we divide by 8, x is less than -6. And so we then, it said solve and graph, so we need to make our graph here at our -6. Remember, your number line goes up in this direction and it goes down in this direction. And the less than side is over here. So we're making sure that we show that all of the answers to this question belong over here. Okay? Okay, so these are the ones that are really just like an equals. You just need to be careful that you bring this down and don't start flopping things on both sides, to the other thing. Everything you do to one side, you have to do to the other side, and not make sure you don't turn this over. Make sure you don't bring the x over to the other side, or you could end up with a wrong answer. All right, now this one has the variable on both sides of the inequality, so we need to apply what you had applied before. What I'd like to do is I'd like to add 2n to both sides on this one so that I can get them gathered onto one side. So I have 13 that's still here. -6 plus 2 gives you -4. So this is -4n is less than or equal to 49. From there, what we need to do then is we need to take away 13 from both sides. And that gives us 36, regular 36 over here. And don't forget, this negative is really attached here. For those of you that need to see it this way, 13 minus 4n is the same as plus -4n. That's why the -4 is really attached to the n like that. Now we need to divide both sides by -4. But you have to remember, back when we talked about it, if you divide both sides by a negative, And we have an inequality. That means that our inequality sign turns over. Don't forget that. It's been a while since we did that. So there's our solution. N has to be bigger than -9. I want to graph it. It says solve, graph, and check. So we're going to graph this thing. We make our number line. Now here's an interesting thing. I notice that it says n is greater than or equal to -9. I'm going to put in all of the little slashes all the way up here because I want you to see something. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got all of these numbers here, -1, -2, -3, 4, 5, 6. I've established a pattern here, so you don't have to put in every number. But I want you to be able to see something. First of all, because the extra little line is there, we have a colored in circle rather than an open circle. So greater than or equal to -9 goes over here. And I want to make a suggestion to you as far as what number you pick in order to check your answer. Notice that in the shaded in portion, 0 is one of my numbers. 0 is super easy to work with when you do a check, because what I'm checking to see is that if the part where I've shaded is actually smaller than or equal to the other side. So I want to go back to my original problem. You could pick any value through here. It's just that 0 is really easy to work with. So I'm going to see if x being 0, if that makes it so that it's less than or equal to. And the reason why the checks are really useful here is because sometimes, especially when you're doing inequalities and it's so easy to forget when you divide a negative, this is going to be your last way of seeing, just to make sure that you didn't accidentally forget to flip something over. So 13 minus 0 is 13. 49 minus 0 is 49. So 13 is less than 49. It does check out. So our answer is correct. We've got the right part shaded. I showed you the little trick about if 0 is one of your things that's shaded in, that's really probably going to be the easiest number for you to check. So lots of good stuff in this problem. Let's look at another one. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to try and hit pause button and try this one on your own before clicking resume to see it solved. All right, here comes the solution. We need to take 6y away from both sides and watch out for your -2 there. I need to add 19 to both sides to make it cancel out. My negative comes down with the 2. Greater than or equal to +2. I'm dividing by a negative. And when you divide by a negative, don't forget it flips the sign over. And I'm getting -1 here. Solve, graph, and check. So let's graph it. When you're doing the assignment, follow whatever directions it says. If it says to solve and graph and check, make sure you do all of those things. I'm seeing right here if I did everything correctly, y is less than -1, so that would be over here. But what you need to do then is you need to pick a value over here. 0 won't work this time because it's not in the part where I just colored in. So when I check it, I want to pick a nice, convenient, friendly number like -2 to see if -19 plus 4 times -2 is actually greater than or equal to 6 times -2 minus 17? Yes, that's a question mark. We're finding out to check to make sure that it works. So I've got -19 minus 8. Keep, change, change. So 19 and 8, -27. Over here, -12 minus 17. Once again, keep, change, change. And so you end up with -29 over here. And we ask ourselves the question, is -27 greater than -29? Yes, it is, because I would rather owe $27 than owe $29. So this does check out. And so we've now tackled when you've got variables on both sides, just like we did with the equal sign. You're really following the same rules. Just be very, very careful with your inequality symbols as you solve it. All right, this one, because it's got fractions and decimals in it, don't let it throw you. You're still following the same exact rules. The same thing, you're pretending that you've got an equal sign for what to do. Just be careful, don't accidentally bump it over to the other side. So first thing I need to do is do the same thing to both sides. I'm subtracting 0.9 from both sides. I'm bringing down my inequality symbol. This side has a over -6. This side, however, I'm taking 0.87 minus 0.9. Subtracting, so I'm going to keep, change, change. You need to figure out which one is the bigger absolute value. There's different number of place values, so to make it a little bit easier, make the place values match. So if I have 0.87 and I have 0.9, make it 0.90. Makes it a little bit easier to see that the subtracting problem that you're really doing is 0.90 minus 0.87, which gives you 0.03, because you've got to borrow. And the borrowing thing is something people tend to forget to do with a problem like this. So make sure that you do that. And so over here, we have a negative because the -0.9 is bigger, -0.03. Now you've got this fraction over here that in order for you to make this divided by -6 disappear, you need to multiply both sides times -6. So I want to multiply both sides times -6. Couple things happen here. First of all, negative times negative, 0.03 times 6. I have 18. The decimal point moves over 2, so I've got 0.18. Negative times negative makes positive. I had to multiply by -6 to do that, so I have to change my sign over so that A is greater than 0.18. I do want to take a look at the graph of this just to make sure you're understanding what that's telling you, because our variable landed on the right side this time. So I have 0.18, 0.19, 0.20, down here 0.17 and 0.16. A is on the bigger side. Remember the whole thing from elementary school with a large mouth. Like, it's sometimes I've seen it with a big fish, sometimes I've seen it with a frog. Sometimes you've got an alligator. It's trying to eat the bigger one. So A is on the bigger side of 0.18. Open circle because it's not colored in. So 0.19 is bigger. 0.20 is bigger. I'm coloring in over here to show that all of these over on this side give you the right answer. Okay, let's move right along. This one's unique. It doesn't look like it's very difficult, and it really isn't, but the answer is unique. And I noticed that some of you with your equal sign, and I did answer a couple of you back who had emailed your assignment in. Oh, by the way, for the assignments, I want you to fill out the homework submission forms. Don't always email it in. There might be some times that I ask you to, but if I don't specifically ask you to, submit it by filling out the form rather than emailing. I think that's something we need to work on. All right, so I need to try to get the x over to one side. So if I take away 4x from both sides, what happens? 4x minus 4x is 0, so that's gone. Bring down my less than. 4x minus 4x is 0, so that's gone. Now the problem is that this 7 is less than -2 is not true. So my answer is no solution. I had a couple of you writing a 0. 0 is not the solution. The answer is that there is no solution. You can, if you want, write a circle slash, but I kind of regret saying that because a circle slash is different than a 0, and some of you are writing 0. No solution is not the same as the number 0. No solution is abbreviated with a circle slash, meaning no, don't do that. You've seen that symbol all over the place. It means no. So here we have this no solution here. Write out the words. You're safer with writing out the words, but if you write 0, that's incorrect. So our solution here is that there is no solution. So please just be careful with that. All right, just one more and then we're done. If you have parentheses, don't forget you need to distribute before you actually finish off solving. So -3x minus 24 is greater than or equal to 2x plus 2 times 3 plus 6. You have to then work to get the variable on one side rather than both. I'm going to take away 2x from both sides. I have a 6 over here, and I have a -24, and I'm taking -3 minus 2, which is really -5. So I have -5x here, and then I want to add this 24 to both sides, giving me 30. And then finally, I need to divide by -5. When I divide by -5, because I've divided by a negative, don't forget to flip over your inequality sign. All right, and then finally, we could graph that thing. And once again, follow whatever directions are on the homework as far as which problems need to be graphed and which do not. -6. Remember, our number line goes this way. Closed circle. And then on the smaller side is over here. And that is just about it. I hope that you've all had a really good week. I miss seeing your faces. I am looking forward to seeing a lot of really good things from you. Keep working hard, and Please don't forget to give some feedback on this video. Don't forget to click the link when you're done. And that's it. Have a really wonderful, good, blessed weekend. And I will see you whenever this is all done. And I am praying for you. I know that there's different various things. You're probably the best class for bringing up prayer requests on a regular basis. So I am keeping in mind your needs and praying for them as well. All right, we'll see you. Bye.